I think in school, the most we were taught was how to actually balance a checkbook, like how to use a checkbook was about as far as we went with money or personal finance. And by that time, I think the internet was popping up. Pretty soon it was internet banking. I don't know the last time I actually wrote a check, but nothing about saving or investing, or definitely not anything about becoming an entrepreneur, not in public school. So you talk about people who are entrepreneurs, and this is what was it? Uh, 4 out of 5 people in early America, the revolutionary times, were business owners. Over 80% of the founding fathers and people who settled in the United States, they all owned a business of some sort. It was direct, person to person. Nowadays, I don't know what the statistic is, but it seems like entrepreneurship is on a rise. But like you said, it's not about knowing the finances, it's about doing what you want. So why is it that we are afraid of learning the finances or procrastinate? And what's one of the biggest things you've learned on this journey?
I think part of the taboo is how you're taught at home. So that culture of not talking about money is somewhat pervasive. And so that's part of the problem. Schools were not designed to teach you to be an entrepreneur, to be independent, and to be wealthy. Schools were designed that when the bell rings, you show up at your station, you do what you're told, and you follow the system. So they have no incentive to essentially teach you about money. And I don't think it was till not that long ago that there were opportunities for people to really build wealth easily. In other words, the ability to buy stocks or money market funds or ETFs and those types of products. They're they're relatively newer because I remember when I was younger, if you wanted to buy a stock, it cost a couple $100 to trade. And so you really couldn't
Hmm.
do that easily. And so I think that was part of it is people just weren't it wasn't available. Now business was available. I don't know, somewhere along the way we said business was risky and taking a job was safe. And I think that is what got put into people as the industrial revolution came along. And so that was just the culture.
So I what if I try to teach my son. My oldest is 14 now, and one of the things, one of the methods I get to use or I'm trying to use to teach him about personal finance, growth, the shelf help type stuff is I've created a reading list, Dad's reading list, and any book he reads from it and writes uh, basically a book report for me. I'll give him $50, and then we'll put it in, put a portion into for savings and a portion for investing, and then he gets to keep the rest for spending. However, I one of the books he tried to read was a one of my favorite parables, The Richest Man in Babylon. And the problem being for him was that the language was a little bit challenging for him, so we put it back on the shelf. But that's the very similar philosophy to what you espouse every day, all right? With the profit first. mentality. Can you tell me a little bit about profit first philosophy, methodology, and why? How did we get it so backwards?
So, yes, the philosophy is similar. Um, I like to equate it almost to what Dave Ramsey has made popular, which is the envelope system. Dave didn't invent that. He took it from someone else and popularized it. And that's the way people used to do money. They got their cash, and they would take their cash and they would put it in piles, the rent pile, the food pile. Maybe if they wanted to save up for something in the future, they'd put it in that pile. And when that pile ran out, you stopped spending money. That's simple. And what Profit First is does the same thing for business owners. The first part is accountants say it's sales minus expenses equals profit. And for most business owners, that makes profit a leftover. And what Mike did in the book was say, no, 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 let's do sales minus profit equals expenses. So you take your profit first. Now you constrain your expenses and you hold your expenses down. Because as business owners, we tend to spend too much, just like people do. And that's basically what the system is. The money comes into the bank, and then we take the money and we put it aside for a purpose. So the first purpose is profit. The second purpose is to pay the owner, because most business owners pay themselves last. The third purpose is to put some money aside for taxes, because unlike your paycheck where the taxes come out, as a business owner, you have to make quarterly payments. So you need the money ready for that. And then the last bucket is, this is how much I can truly spend on running my business. And I have to figure out how to do it with that amount of money. And so it's a constraint system. It's a psychological system. It's not designed around doing math. It's designed around human behavior and the fact that we will spend all the money we're given, and we'll use up all the time the time we're given. And so when you constrain our time and money, we figure out how to be more resourceful and we figure out how to get it done.